Well, hey, I just wanted to show a quick photograph here, movie. This is my Ritchie Hydrodamp. I think it's a Voyager binnacle-mounted compass. It was on my boat, and sometime over the last 5 or 6 years I've owned the boat, I developed a pretty big air bubble in my compass. It still worked, but it made reading it a little harder, and you had a big air bubble in there. So I brought it home to do some work on it over the winter during the layup here, and as you can see right now, I have maybe the very smallest of an air bubble. It doesn't even really show up. So I'm very happy with this. Now, a couple things I learned. Those rods are basically for calibrating the compass, so I tried hard not to move those. But I did take out all these little screws in here, and it turns out that under this part right here is a diaphragm of some kind, a rubber diaphragm. I didn't know that would expose the whole thing, but that's what it does. I do not necessarily recommend taking that diaphragm off, but I did. On the top side, this little hood comes off pretty easily, and then you're left with 8 little screws around the outside ring here. So if you take those off and this ring lifts up, you expose the globe and an O-ring underneath the globe, and you can lift that off. Now, mind you, if your compass is full of liquid, it will spill out. So you got to be ready. You should really drain the fluid out of there before you start to mess around with it. What I should have done probably is simply remove the fill screw right there. And in fact, I did later use that to dump all the fluid out. Mine was an old compass, and it came filled with odorless mineral spirits, and that's what I filled it with. At some point, Ritchie switched to a different material that I think allows them to ship it, without flammable liquid issues or whatever. I don't know. But mine does not have the sticker on it that indicates that they're using the newer material. It certainly is fiddly trying to get that thing emptied. One easy way to empty it, you take that screw out and you hold it over a cup or a bucket or whatever, and then if you push in on the diaphragm, it will force the liquid out. Otherwise, it's a very, very slow process to evacuate all the liquid. But if you put a little pressure on that diaphragm, it'll help push it out. Trying to fill it is the trick. Yeah, now you can see that little bitty bubble in there. You can see it right there. Filling it is really the trick. So a couple things that I did. First of all, I bought a big syringe. No tip, no needle on it, but just a big syringe. This is a 60 milliliter. Probably is a little too big. I probably should have got something half that size. The tip is a little big for getting into the hole, the fill hole in the. Doesn't fit in there actually. So what I did was I took as I was reassembling everything, I had the globe off, and I just splash loaded, the low odor mineral spirits into the bottom part of the bowl until it was about full here. Put the globe on, put the sealing ring back on, and then from that point forward had to use the syringe. And it's very messy and very fiddly. Basically just trying to hold the fill hole at an angle up so air can come out. You put in a little bit of fluid, you lose half of it. Very fiddly to be sure. But I did get most of the air out, and I then took the whole compass and I put it in my freezer for a couple hours. Got everything really cold. And then took it out, and the idea that I had was everything would contract some. The fluid, the diaphragm, everything would contract. And then I would take it out of the freezer and try to top off, what little bit of fluid I could add to it to try and eliminate the bubble completely. So I've done that. That's why the globe keeps frosting up. It's fairly freshly out of the freezer. And I did, in fact, then take the screw out and tried to top it off. So now what we have to look at is what happens as it warms up. This diaphragm almost, it kind of feels frozen actually, but maybe that's why I can't move it. It's pretty stiff. I don't know what's going to happen to the material, the fill material. So I'll keep an eye on that little bubble and see if it gets significantly worse. I could live with that. Really, it's way better than it was. Compass is pointing north, so that's good. And it's a lot better than it was. So I'll check on it here after it warms back up to room temperature and see if that bubble has gotten larger or not. Good morning. So we've had the compass out of the freezer now for 24 hours or 12 hours or something like that. It's totally defrosted now. But I am so excited to show you the dome. And I don't see any bubble in there right now. So that's fantastic. I'm really happy with that.